What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. Round 4 is over, and what a round of rugby it was. So many teams really stepping up, but with the round over, that does mean we are on to our Team of the Round, Team of the Week, whatever you want to call it. We have had a bunch of new subscribers since the last time we did this, so quickly I'll check on screen just some of the rules I've done to create my Team of the Week. I'm trying to do it a little bit different from other people so that every video on YouTube isn't just the same people. So the rules I do for Team of the Week, starting with rule 1. While watching the games live, I note down players that stand out to me while watching it, and I can only choose from those players that I list down while watching the games. Rule 2, not allowed to move players to different positions, only the shirt numbers they played in. So if there was 5 people who played really well on the right wing and no one played well on the left wing, I'm not allowed to move someone, I just have to pick the best of the worst at left wing. And the final third rule, not taking into account if the team won or lost. We're only specifically looking at the players and how they performed that week. So if they played badly 2 weeks ago, doesn't impact this one. It's how they played in that game against that team. So that's what I'm trying to do, is a bit of a different way of doing a Team of the Week. Of course, like I say in every video, this will be my team. This will not be your Team of the Week. Some people still get weirdly angry that I miss some people out that would have been in their team and not my team. Everyone's got a different thing, guys. Make sure you drop down in the comments your team 1 to 15, and then everyone can look at each other's teams. I think it's a bit more fun, gets people interacting a bit rather than just criticizing my 15, who will never ever be your 15 because I'm doing it in a bit of a different way. So starting off at the loose head, I've got one name and one name written down here alone. A lot of the scrummagers in that front row were a bit difficult to call this week. No one was really showing off to me, but one guy that was doing really well for me, Cyril Bay for France, having a great game, really doing well at scrums, very attacking. We got to see a prop do some great attack running. Nice to see from him. Good tackling all around the pitch. Thought he played really well. It was a shame that they managed to lose that game for France. I thought they were going to clinch that one, but England came out of nowhere. But for me at loose head, Cyril Bay. At the hooker, there was definitely a few more potentials here. I thought George Turner had a really good game. I thought he played really well against a very difficult Irish side. I thought he had a good running game. I think if it comes to that Italy game next week, he could be in with a real shoe and forget a good couple of tries from that maul. Marchand, I thought had a really good game for France as well. Thought he did pretty well. Luke Cowan-Dickey didn't have a bad game, but didn't stick out particularly too much for me. But the standout hooker for the weekend, I'm sure a lot of people would agree here to me, Ken Owens. Getting his 2 tries from the back of that driving maul, had a good game all round. Lineouts were working pretty well for him. They're doing very well, that Wales team, especially in that front row. Normally there's some Welsh players in the prop positions, but to me, Ken Owens this week absolutely stood out. It was such a shame he couldn't stay on and see if he could get a hat-trick. But for me, my hook is going to be Ken Owens. At the tight head at number 3, sort of similar to loose head, not a lot of options down here. Tom Francis didn't play terribly. But again, nothing too stand out. Sinclair did okay. At scrum time, he just there was a couple of points he just kept standing up in the scrum and lifting his head out for no real reason, but didn't think he had a terrible game all round. A couple of other players doing okay, but the one man that stood out again, I feel like a lot of people might have this guy, Tadhg Furlong, is going to be my choice at number 3. Did you see the beautiful sidesteps from the big man? Loving that to see. Good work rate all around the park. Of course, he couldn't chase down Finn Russell when he ran past him, but Tadhg Furlong doing really well in that game. Thought he was very impressive, especially doing sidesteps. You don't get to see that from a prop. Good work rate all round. Thought he did well when it came to scrum time. Brilliant work. Tadhg Furlong, my number 3. Number 4, a couple of different names here as well. Ian Henderson had quite a good game all round. Someone that I was going to pick because I thought he had a good game, but it sort of began to peter off towards it in that second half, was Taufai Fanua, who I always mess up his name because it's me. My pronunciations aren't great, but I thought he had a great game for France. Going on, of course, having to step in because Leroux wasn't there. Thought he did real well in that starting game, and he was going to be my number 4 choice. And we just got into that second half, and we saw England took over. A lot of people will probably be angry at this because people remember last week, but for me, my standout number 4 in the lock position was Itoje. He did exactly as I thought he was going to do. Took that little step back from his game that he had last week. Didn't go for so many 50-50 challenges, but still pushing on the edge. Managing to get charged down still, even though he sort of took that step back. Good tackle rate all round. I think he only missed 2 tackles. I think he gave away one penalty in the whole game, which is definitely probably a record for Toje. And of course, getting the game-winning try at the end, taking the opportunities when they arose. Well done to him. I'm going to pick Maro Toje at my number 4 shirt. Number 5, 2 names written down here. First one was Wynn. I actually thought he had a really good game against Italy. I think he had a really good round in the first round. I think I actually picked Wynn for my team of the week in that first round. He's gone downhill a little bit, but against Italy, really showing off. The only problem for me was that he only played 50 minutes of that game, which I think is a bit of a negative. Obviously, Wales will want to keep him nice and safe going to that France game, so I wasn't expecting him to play the full game, but the 50 minutes we got to see him for was very, very good. But for me, the one name that I wrote down after that weekend as the first one had to be James Ryan. He had a fantastic game, really good, especially at lineouts. I think he stole 3 lineouts. I'm trying to go through some of the footage to do a bit of a breakdown for the Scotland-Ireland game. James Ryan seems to be killing it so far. I think he had a great game. So for me, at number 5, lock position, James Ryan. Moving on to the flankers, number 6, couple of people putting their hands up here across the board, actually. It was a really good round for number 6s. Navidi, first of all, had a good game. Was a bit surprised, I don't know if anyone else was, by Navidi getting man of the match. I am a Wales supporter, and I was quite surprised that he was the one who got picked there, but I think he had a good above average game all round. I think they got a little bit struggling with the man of the match because so many of the people that I think may have done better in that game got taken off early. But Navidi had a good game all round, good tackle rate, and just good aggression really from all round. Jamie Ritchie, I thought had a great game. It was so nice to see him back in the Scotland team again. Big tackles, turnover capabilities. We know how dangerous Jamie Ritchie was going to be. And I almost made Jamie Ritchie my flanker choice there. But for me, I think I had him last week as well. But Tyg Byrne, he's having such a good tournament. I think he is a class player. Getting the turnovers when it was necessary. Big tackles. Stole 2 lineouts. He was in his own lineout. I can't remember what Ireland ended up with. I think they won 9 of their lineouts or something, and Tyg Byrne was on the end of a couple of them. I think he's doing great work. So for me, at first one at flanker, Tyg Byrne. Number 7, again, a couple of big names putting their hands up for there. Tom Curry, still on a good run. He's probably one of the few England players that across the tournament's actually been performing to a high standard again. He got a charge down. Good tackle rate again. So many big tackles. This game was really tense. That England-France game was really close. I actually wrote Curry down and thought he was going to be my number 7 until we came to that Ireland-Scotland game. And what a battle of the sevens that was. Will Connors again. I almost wanted to pick Will Connors. He had such a good game again. This is the tournament where the Will Connors name begins to rise. I think he played brilliantly in that game. Some of the big thumping tackles, making dominant tackles for one was a big one for him, driving people back. Thought he had a really good game. But for me, the standout number 7 of the round has to go to Hamish Watson, because he is a monster. We all know he's a monster. He absolutely smashes people. Good running lines. Nice to see him be aggressive with the ball in hand, as we know he can be. Smashing through tackles, making his way through. Great tackles when needed, got his turnovers when he needed, and even finished the game off with a try himself, which was nice to see. So to me, Hamish Watson is my number 7. Number 8 was a bit of a difficult one. There was a couple of names that I wrote down, but a couple of the big names you sort of expect to didn't really turn up for me. CJ Stander had a weird game. They seemed to change his position entirely. CJ Stander has been my sort of go-to team of the week, number 8 so far. He's been playing really well, but in the Scotland game, really utilised in a very different way, more for clearing out a ruck rather than trying to be a big ball carrier. So for me, I don't think CJ Stander was doing too much. Again, didn't see much from Lamaro. Billy Vunipola, trying to crash through a couple of balls, but still not quite at the level I think we were used to seeing him doing. I thought Gregory Aldrit played pretty well throughout the game. But that France team in that second half just began to crash out, and I don't think Aldrit was doing too well in that second half. To me, this comes down between 2 different names, and I still now, even while filming, not sure who I'm going to pick. So the first one for me is Falatau. Thought he played really well across the game, actually. Though, again, good work rate. Got himself a try on that wing. He spent an awful lot of time on that wing. I think he should have been in an 11 shirt rather than an 8. He spent a lot of time on that wing. Got himself a try. Played well, but again, only played for that sort of 50-55 minutes before he was taken off. Again, another one they're going to want to save for the France game. And the second name I have down here is Matt Fagerson. Thought he had a good game. I haven't gone back through the footage to find out sort of what happened to Matt Fagerson. I can't remember if he stayed on for the whole game. I remember at one point Scott Steele came on. I'm not sure who he came on for, and he started filling in the scrum. So it's a bit of a choice between two. I think in terms of showing off their ability, it's been nice to see Faletau slowly grow through the tournament. I think I'm going to go for Faletau. My number 8 is going to be Faletau, getting himself a try. There was good there to see in the 50 minutes. We just hope he can do the same thing against France in the next round. Scrum half will be a bit of a contentious issue to me. I don't know who people would want to go for here. Of course, we had Dupont was doing well in that first 80 seconds, getting himself a try. And to be honest, throughout probably the first 60 minutes, I say he had a good game. A good rate of passing from the rucks when they got a quick clear outs. The box kicking was relatively decent from him. Likewise from Ben Youngs. A couple of people seem to be quite down on Ben Youngs. I think he had a bad first round and an average second round. I thought he played really well against Wales, and I think he played well against France as well. But again, he came off sort of in that 60-minute mark. Had Dan Robson come on, who I don't think's playing fantastic rugby at the minute. Ben Youngs, for me, still that first choice scrum half for them. But for me, I'm going to go for general all-round competency. Gibson Park, for me, is going to be my scrum half. Thought he really orchestrated that Ireland team well. I mean, Conor Murray just didn't get a look in that game, did he? Gibson Park playing really well. Box kicks could have been potentially a little bit better, but for the majority of the game was looking really good. The speed of the ball from the ruck was doing really well, allowing their back rows to get some big plays in. I think he's doing really well. I think he could retain that starting number 9 shirt, in all honesty, for Ireland. I think he's doing really well. So my scrum half is going to go to Gibson Park. Fly half will be another one a couple of people will have different positions for. I don't think I've ever had so many names noted down for doing one of these Team of the Weeks. Normally I have one set name. There's so many. Bigger and Sheedy having 2 pretty good games. Of course, you'd expect it really against Italy. Dan Bigger's kicking certainly could have been a little bit better, so it's probably why I wouldn't go for Dan Bigger. Sheedy, much more aggressive, got himself a try, which is nice to see from Sheedy. I think he deserves it. He's such a good number 10. Really aggressive play. I think he was playing well. Finn Russell had a good game. It's just a shame for him. He started petering off and then, of course, had to go off, and Hogg had to fill in at fly half. Got himself a try as well. Again, kicking could have potentially been a little bit better, but actual attacking play and attacking kicking was much, much better from Finn Russell. Really beginning to see the step up from him. So I think a lot of people will have different 10s here for number reason. But for me, my fly half of choice has to go to Jalibert. I just think he's brilliant. I just think he's all-round brilliant. The fact that Entomac didn't get a look in that game because Jalibert was doing so well, I think he shows off just how good he was. The attacking play from him was fantastic. Allowing his own running technique, allowing his further outfield players to get more meters and find those gaps. I think he's doing really well at the minute. Kicking game was doing well. They just couldn't hold out that England team. So for me, my fly half goes to Jalibert. Left wing, number 11. A real difficult one. I don't know how many other people will struggle picking a number 11. I don't think anyone really demonstrated an enormous level of competency across the 11 channel, but I don't think we got to see an awful lot from Duhan van der Merwe. James Lowe was busy just sort of kicking the ball downfield. I didn't get to see a great deal of running from him. Of course, from Italy, we got a try. From Wales, Josh Adams got a try. Damien Penaud got a try. But across the board, I think each one of the 11s has a negative countermeasure. I think for me, I'm going to go with the guy who could have got more had it not been for a couple of little things letting him down. I'm going to pick Josh Adams. In the game, he was actually relatively decent in the backfield. He got himself the try. He did have 1 disallowed, so he could have got 2 tries had he just had a little bit better finishing. Wales certainly pushed for the left wing a little bit more. I got to see a little bit more of Josh Adams, the attacking role that we're used to seeing him in. So for me, my left wing, I'm going to give to Josh Adams. Inside centre at 12. A couple of people again. Didn't get to see a lot from Jonathan Davis. I think he's really struggling in that Wales team at the minute. Didn't get to see an awful lot from him at all. Carlo Canna, again, not seeing an enormous amount this round from him either. For me, there was 3 names here putting their hands up, and unfortunately they're all sort of not the best, but these were the best 3. I think Ficou had a good game when he could have the ball in hand. A couple of his tackles were letting them still get an awful lot of meters, but defensively was relatively sound. A good attacking run. He was more sort of like a helpful 12 is what I'd call it, giving the ball to other people to do a lot of work with. Robbie Henshaw was playing better than Ringrose, I think is how I'd probably classify it. Not a terrible game, but I think in that centre partnership was definitely playing better. For me, I'm going to pick my inside centre is going to go to Sam Johnson. I think he played well for Scotland. He certainly impressed me more than Chris Harris in the 13 channel. Of course, they both sort of got blown out the water as soon as Hugh Jones came on and got that fantastic try. But I think across the game, Sam Johnson was one of the few people really beginning to open up that Irish defence, trying to find gaps. So for me, my number 12, Sam Johnson. Outside centre, to me, the most competitive position of the round. I thought most 13s played very well, in all honesty, apart from maybe in the Ireland-Scotland game. Ringrose, to me, didn't have the best game. Chris Harris, again, just seemed to be a bit of a crash ball 13. I wasn't seeing a lot of playmaking going on from him that I sort of wanted to see from Chris Harris when we know he can get going. So for me, the 4 names I've got written down here, and again, people will have different opinions for different reasons. I think I've got all these names written down. So George North, of course, for just direct impact, playing that 13 channel well, got himself a try, beating defenders. He's a great attacking runner. We all know George North is a good attacking runner, but did only get to play just over a half before he was taken off. So we didn't get to see him for the full game to see what he could have done, but certainly had a strong 50 minutes. Ignacio Brex actually had a decent game. This is much more for me in terms of defensive work. He was very aggressive. This is the defensive work I wanted to see from Ignacio Brex. The aggressive defence that he applies, breaking down those breakaway runs where you've got the 4-on-2 and you've just got to tackle the man. I saw it about 4 times in that game. Ignacio Brex doing really necessary tackles and making them to count, taking man and ball. Very good work from him. Nice to see him really stepping up in that 13 channel. Vakatawa, I thought, had a good game. Of course, we know he's a danger threat. Bit like North, really. Just ball in hand, danger runner. We know he's going to do well. But for me, the 13 I'm going to go with is going to go to Henry Slade. I know I'm not looking back at the tournament, but I think Henry Slade has had a good tournament. And even in this game against the France team, I think he was a big point of trying to do well. I think he was finding room, finding gaps, becoming a bit of a nuisance. He's working off of Farrell very well in that 12 shirt. He did come off, which I don't think was necessarily the right call. I think it might have even been a better option to have taken Farrell off to put Ollie Lawrence on. But I think Slade had a good game all round. So I'm going to go with Slade for my 13. Of course, that's my team. It's not your team. I'm sure people will have different 13s there. At 14, only 2 names written down for me here. One being Sean Maitland. Thought he had a very impressive game on that right wing. Thought he did a great job at shutting down James Lowe. We know how dangerous James Lowe can be when he gets running. Thought Sean Maitland was very good. And even attacking, actually, when he had the ball in hand, looked a little dangerous, trying to find room. I did wonder whether picking him over Darcy Graham was the correct call. But for me, it was the correct call. I think Scotland, although they did lose that game, Sean Maitland was impressive and was probably in the back 3, was the most impressive in that back 3 for Scotland. I think he had a really good game. But for me, the standout 14 goes to Watson. Great game, really finding the room, got himself the try. He just looked dangerous every time he had the ball. I think he had a really good running game as well. I just think he was really good. It's probably the best game I've seen from Watson against a more dangerous side. Obviously had a quite a good game against Italy, but I think this is a bigger team where you want to see people like Watson step up. Think he really managed it. And finally, in the fullback position, I've only got one name written down here because 15s for me across the board. No one was really shining. We didn't get to see Hogg do an awful lot. Hugo Keenan just seemed to be running all over the place. Liam Williams wasn't terrible, but just nothing to shine out about. Saw a lot of diagonal running from Liam Williams when you just want to see him run forward and try and hit some gaps. I thought Trula was truly awful. I don't think he was doing well. So I've got one name written down here. Oh, in fact, Max Maylands. Max Maylands did better than Elliot Daly. Let's put it that way. I don't think he had a superb game at fullback. He was better than Daly. But for me, there's one standout name, but I want to give an honourable mention first to Padavani. I thought Padavani had a great second half. As soon as he came on, that backfield changed completely. I think he was involved in stopping the Josh Adams try. I might be misremembering that. It was a couple of days ago. My memory's not great. I think he did well, and the backfield play from him was brilliant. Tackles good. Like I said in the video before the game, I think Padavani should have started over Trula. So I'm going to give an honourable mention for Padavani, but of course only played one half, so not super going to be my main pick there. So for me, my fullback goes to Dulan. I think he was really instrumental in almost winning that game for France. I think he held that together. I think had Dulin not been on that field, England would have found it much easier to have won that game. Thought he was pretty solid all round in that backfield, really trying to stop the kicks going over the top from England. So to me, my fullback is going to be Bryce Dulin. And there we have it, guys. That is going to be my team of the week for round 4. Like I've said before, this is my team. This won't be your team. So make sure you drop down in the comments who your 1 to 15 is going to be. Like I did do for the Wales-England game, where I did a bit of a breakdown. I wanted to do a bit of a breakdown for a game this week. It's going to be a bit tight to get it all out before the next round. So sorry if it doesn't get out in time. I think a lot of people want to talk about the England-France game. But to me, there was one game that I really wanted to look at a little bit more. Was going to be the Scotland-Ireland game. I think that means so much, especially in context of the World Cup coming up, with them drawn in the same pool. So I'm going to look into that one a little bit more. I don't have a great deal of spare time, so I can only sort of do one a week. It's not sort of someone like Squidge Rugby. He has a lot more spare time than me to be able to do these videos. So that's the game I'm going to do. So if you are interested in looking a little bit more at the Scotland-Ireland game, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Like we do every week after the Team of the Week, I do go over the Fantasy League that we have on the channel. A couple of people are involved with it, and it's really nice to go through just to see how people have scored. So, starting off looking at the actual fantasy group, where it was a pretty high-scoring round for an awful lot of people. Bowie at the top, taking that round away from me by just half a point. It was so close at the top. So Bowie came first, I came second, and Dan Can't Ruck came in third, which in terms of the leaderboard really tightens it up at the front between Dan, Rodri and myself. There is only 6 points in it for first place. That is unbelievably close. Had Johnny Sexton not missed that one kick, I could have been within 3. It was going to be super close. Bowie coming in close as well, only about sort of 10-15 points behind. So 1 to 4 is looking awfully close, but again, the points coming thick and fast with a good captain. Reece Zammit for me as captain this week scored like 50 points, so even if you're within 60 to 70 points of first place, you're still in with a good chance of winning if you can pick the captain correctly. So it's getting super close. I'm loving that the fantasy hasn't been a blowout. It's been an absolute tooth and nail battle. So we'll see if I can win next week. I'm not sure if I will do, but we'll see how we get on. And then in terms of the predictor, where I thought I did amazing. In that first one, I did say Wales to win by 44 and Wales went on to win 41. And I thought, yes, I'm finally going to be able to catch up to Sam. And then Sam, I do know you watch the videos a lot because I see you down in the comments. You absolutely blew this one out the water, mate. You just destroyed me. So Sam taking the top of that predictor with some unbelievable picks. I did go back and have a look at your actual picks. You called every single one correctly. You almost got full points that round, which is extraordinary, getting 7 points that round. So in terms of the actual tournament itself, Sam finds himself right up at the top there. I don't even know if I can catch you, in all honesty. I think you need to pick all 3 results wrong, and I need to get all 3 results right for me to catch you. And Maddie finds themselves in third, only just behind this. The battle for second place could still be on, but I don't know if Sam's catchable. I'm almost willing to just congratulate you there and now, Sam. But there's still a round and a bit if you contain the Scotland-France game still to kick off. I'm not sure what will happen there. But well done to everyone who is getting involved in the fantasies. Well done to everyone that's doing well. I hope everyone's enjoyed today. That has been my team of the week. Make sure you all drop down in the comments who you would pick for your team of the week, 1 to 15. Note them all down. I really want to get people talking and sort of have a look at other people's teams who impressed you rather than just looking at, oh, that guy made a load of meters, therefore he was the best. I'd love to get people talking, so make sure you drop it down in the comments. Keep it friendly, keep it nice. This is a nice little rugby channel where we all just enjoy looking at each other's teams and talking positively about rugby. I hope you've all enjoyed today, guys. I'm so glad for a great round 4 of rugby. I'll see you all next time, guys. Bye bye.